How are things going? We are going to be talking about Jeannie, Mai, and Jeezy calling it quits, or maybe he just called it quits and he just informed her of that. Let's go through some background here and then let's jump into this whole idea of yes, they have a prenup, but what if she wants to contest the prenup? Is this thing going to hold up or not? But let's just hit some of the highlights of what was going on in this divorce filing. I just have a few notes here just to bring us up to speed. So, first of all, one of the things that people have been mentioning is the length of the marriage. And they're just sort of like, you guys, you only really made it about 2 years. Are you ready to quit? Do you really want to call it quits? You've got a baby girl now. They were married March 27th, 2021. And it looks like this divorce filing took place September 14th in Fulton County Court 2023. So a little over 2 years. In the filing, it says the marriage is irrevocably broken, and Jeezy is seeking to share joint legal custody of the child, which was born in 2021. And they have this prenup that was dated March 26, 2021. Okay, now, one of the things, and I'm going to come back to that because I want to be really clear about these dates in here, that this prenup was dated March 26, 2021, and then they were married on or about March 27, 2021. The other thing that this document says, that this divorce filing says, is he gets his separate non marital property, and everything is really tied to the prenup. It says a division of assets and debts consistent with the prenup. So, this is what he is asking for in this divorce filing. So, now the question is, well, what if she's saying no? What if she wants to contest this prenup? And the first thing I want to point to is just this date, because you're going to have to really advocate that there is something wrong with the prenup or the process that was involved when this signing of the prenup took place. And one of the things that sometimes comes up is, well, when did the signing take place? Was the signing, number one, so close to the wedding that the other party felt like they didn't have a choice, that if they did not go ahead and sign that prenup the day before the wedding, that the other person was going to call it off? Is she going to have a legitimate argument there based on the time period? Then here's the other question, because we don't really know all of the background around this. It was signed that day, but how long of an opportunity did she have to review it? Did her attorneys have to review it? Was there enough time with that? Or was it just sort of handed to her that day? My expectation would be that she would have been given this beforehand, and that she had an opportunity to review it with her attorney, and that they were wrapping some things up and making sure everything was in place right up until the last few moments the day before the wedding. That is what you would hope would take place, that the parties had a chance to really talk about this. But suppose that's not the case. Suppose it really was, she was given it the day before, or she didn't really have a whole lot of opportunity to review it with her attorneys and get the kind of legal guidance and support and advice that she wanted to, and that she felt pressured. That would be an argument that she could bring forth to contest the prenup. I was under duress. I felt coerced. The wedding was the next day. I was under a lot of stress. I wasn't really thinking right. All of these things could be brought up in the event she wants to contest this prenup. Here's the other thing. Now, remember, he said in the filing, asking for a division of assets and debts consistent with the prenup. Well, suppose, for instance, that there was not a full disclosure of the assets and debts. Well, that might be a basis for saying, hey, this is not right. I didn't know all of these things, and I'm going to contest this because all of the information wasn't given to me. It was either misrepresented or there was some fraud involved. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened in this case, but for anyone saying, I'm going to contest a prenup, misrepresentation and fraud and not having adequate information about assets and debts might be one of those things that you could hold up and say. And like I said, it's in the divorce filing that they want this division there. The other thing is, are there any terms that are unlawful or that would be against the law? Well, we haven't seen the prenup, so we don't know. But assuming that, there were attorneys involved, it's doubtful that that would be the case. Then the last one would be, well, are there any terms in there that are unconscionable or just overly unfair to the other party? One of the interesting ones that I've seen come up is this sort of requirement in sort of a premarital agreement between the parties is that one party continue to take care of herself. Usually, this is something that I've seen held up for women, although it could be held up for both parties, that I expect you to maintain X weight and to look good and to do all of these things. And the question would be, if it's only required of one person, is that really unfair? In a case where it's required of both parties, there might not be a whole lot to contest there. I haven't seen that crop up a whole lot, but I have seen that mentioned. And this is from a legal standpoint, not necessarily trying to categorize people here, but understanding when something might be seen as unduly unconscionable on one party. So those are like the main things that I think she may be looking at if if she's saying to herself, hey, I really want us to try to work on this, or I really, think we need to go back and revisit the whole prenup now that we have a child in place, and some things might need to change on my end in terms of what I can do. But if they're sharing custody, that's going to be a whole nother issue out there. So we'll see how this goes. Like I said, those are a few times when you get to contest it. Some of the things that you can use to contest it. We'll see whether or not she chooses to contest that, whether she just goes forward and they have sort of an amicable separation going forward and final divorce. So put your thoughts in the comments whether or not you think this is headed in the right direction in terms of whether or not they're going to be able to work things out, or whether or not you think somebody is going to be contesting the prenup. All right, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up if you are now a little bit more up to speed with what is going on in this case. Peace.